If you canvas people, no matter where you go in the world, what is your number one fear? It's public speaking.
I love the fact that you emphasize the prep, the hard work, the reps, but also the baby steps that you took and the intentionality around one conversation every day.
The world will not hand you opportunities. Sometimes you need to bash the door down and make someone listen to you. You don't get what you deserve, you get what you negotiate. If someone asks you any question on any topic, if you answer in that structure, it could be total bullshit, but you will at least sound smart. If someone says, Michael, what's the most important thing about public speaking? I would say, public speaking, talent is practice in disguise. Anytime you see someone on stage, on camera, who's super confident, they've done 1,000 reps when you've only done 1 or 2. Most people aren't lazy, they just don't have good enough reasons to overcome. You say you want the thing, and then you give up. You start the podcast and you stop after 3 episodes. You launch the business, it's crickets after 2 months. You say you're gonna get that promotion, and then it doesn't happen. Your reasons need to be stronger than your excuses.
Welcome, everyone. Welcome to Banyan Workspace, to Entrepreneur Stories. Welcome, Michael.
Thanks, Rashid.
Thank you for being here.
Very happy to be
Great to
here.
have you. It's amazing to start the year with a oversold space, even though we have a few people a little bit late. I'm curious, this topic of improving your communication and unlocking your voice. What do you think it is about the topic that made it sell out within a couple of days?
I don't know if I'm the right person to ask. I think I should maybe be asking the audience. I think anything I say will probably sound very lacking in humility. But I think if I had to hazard a guess, it's probably, if you canvas people, no matter where you go in the world, what is your number one fear? It's public speaking. Right, number one. I'm not saying everyone in this room is terrified of public speaking, but generally, as a rule of thumb, most people are terrified of public speaking. And I would say adjacent to that, what is most people's greatest source of unhappiness or frustration? It's having a view, it's having an idea and not being heard. They don't feel seen, heard, understood, right? That's a source of frustration. It's a source of serious unhappiness for people. I think if you feel like you have some value to offer the world, if you have a viewpoint that you think deserves some airtime and you can't articulate yourself, yeah, it's painful, right? So I think it's something that bonds and binds most people. Would I like to be better at presenting? Would I like to be better at pitching? Would I like to be more influential? Yeah. Why wouldn't you?
Yeah,
I don't get why you wouldn't.
No, right?
Why would you turn that down? I don't get it. It's a superpower if you can do it.
Yep.
If you can hold a room, it's just a useful skill to have. And again, why I get passionate about it and why I get fired up is because I've been through that pain myself. So I fixed myself before I helped anyone else, before I taught anyone else. I fixed my own painful problem. But I think it's also, I get to help good people with good ideas, find their voice, find their narrative.
Yep.
That brings me joy.
Yep.
I actually love seeing other people win. I don't know why, I just do. So, some people are selfless, some are more selfish. I love seeing other people win.
Yep.
And if I can help them do that, I get a real kick out of it. And it's nice to see people in the room because they want to improve themselves and they want to have more of an impact. Correct? Right? So you want to have an impact on the outer world. If you don't fix the inner world first, you can't have an impact on the external world. So.
Amazing. For you guys in the room...
but maybe put it to them.
Yeah, well, we will.
That was my riff.
We will have audience Q&A at the end, and I'm sure people can chime in. But, you know, this is a live event, so as we go through, please don't feel you need to sit in silence. We do, if you want to laugh, cry, shout out something, go for it. Michael, talking about helping people, what is it exactly that you do, and what do most people and companies come to you for help with?
So I think it's hard to distill, but I'll do my best. I think I help people communicate more persuasively is what I do. So on an individual level, that sometimes takes the form of executive coaching one-to-one, right? If someone wants a lot of love and attention and they want to improve fast, the easiest thing to do is one-to-one, right? Hire someone like me or someone like me, doesn't have to be me, but hire someone who is where you want to be.
Yep.
Don't have to be a million miles ahead. They can just be 1 or 2 steps ahead, but find someone who understands kind of your pain point, has gone through it, has helped others. And that's what I do. At the corporate level, I help leaders in their teams communicate more effectively. So sometimes that's through the lens of sales and marketing. Sometimes that's through the lens of leadership. Sometimes it's through the lens of personal branding. But it's helping leaders in their teams find their voice authentically, I think, with greater range of emotion and hopefully, you know, humility, ego put to the side. Because I think people still buy people. I was speaking to James here earlier. I think philosophically we're aligned that we don't love the direction AI is traveling in many regards. And I think that there's still something to be said for live events, for analog events where people get together face to face. That still has power, right? And I think people know that. So the easiest thing for companies and corporates to do, why they come to me, I think, is what's the easiest kind of quickest unlock I could give someone? Leadership, communication skills, soft skills. The soft skills are the hard skills. So that's what I get brought in to do.
You seem to be someone who loves what you do.
I do. Yeah.
Kind of a round peg in a round hole, but you've been through a very varied journey to get to where you are today.
Sure.
Maybe you could share a little bit with us about the journey that you've been on and how that sort of helped you get to this point where you're able to help people and focus on helping them articulate, communicate, and better present their ideas.
I think I'm lucky. I'm grateful that I've been someone who's able to turn their avocation into a vocation multiple times, right? So I've managed to make football my living, right? Freddie knows that, fellow professional footballer in the room. That's every boy's dream. I got to play professional football. How cool is that? I didn't play at the highest level. I didn't achieve all my dreams within that sphere, but I got to wake up every day, do something I'm good at, be healthy, play outside for a couple. I got paid to play. It's ridiculous. Right?
And you represent your country.
I'm representing my country. Again, great honor being born and raised in Hong Kong. Again, I'm passionate about the art of communication. I get to help people with that now. As you know, similar to you, also wine and spirits and sake entrepreneur. I did my blindfolded tasting exams and went down that rabbit hole. I loved doing that. So I've been an entrepreneur, but I've also done jobs I didn't enjoy, right? And we all have to. I think it's important to also understand what you don't want and what you don't like in order to feel that pain and reorient yourself towards kind of, your true north. So yes, I'm lucky, but I guess I also have to give myself some credit for having the courage to pursue it. Because I think where a lot of people get unhappy is they get stuck in a track and they find themselves 20 years later, they're on a train. They don't remember buying the ticket. How did I get here? Where is this place?
Yeah.
I don't enjoy anything about this. But whatever it is, whether it's the mortgage, the responsibilities, they've just become known for being competent at something they don't actually enjoy. You can be competent and hate it, right? But that's not everyone, right? The entrepreneurship is not for everyone. This podcast is called Entrepreneur Stories. I love being an entrepreneur. I love the adrenaline rush of being in the arena, but it's not for everyone, and that's fine. Yeah. There is no right answer.
There's a time and a place as well for everything, because I think it changes as you go through this journey of life.
Yeah.
And I've heard it called, the seasons of life. And I certainly, when I look at my life, I think that there was a season where I loved being in corporate.
Yeah.
And then there was a season where I thought, this is just not for me anymore, and I need to do something different, and found this home in entrepreneurship that I probably never expected. I'd expected to rise to the top of the corporate ladder.
Yes.
And at some point, that was no longer the goal.
And it's okay, by the way. I think I like the analogy of seasons, right? I use it all the time. What season of life are you in right now? And there was a time in my life when I was in investment banking, I was in finance, and I thought I wanted it. I was able to step back, and I always call it my quarter life crisis as opposed to my half life crisis. Get it done really early is the best strategy. I didn't love investment banking, but that's okay. I have plenty of friends who do well and they're okay with it. It just wasn't for me. And it's having the honesty and courage, I think, to realize, you know what, I believed this with all my heart 3 years ago. Today I don't.
Yep.
That's okay. That's okay. But yeah, I am having fun. I love what
Amazing.
I do. I don't mind working weekends. Monday mornings, most people dread them. I jump out of bed. I love it. Actually, I don't. I'm a terrible morning person, but I do look forward to work. My wife is going to be, watch this.
Coffee.
I need coffee.
Yeah.
But no, I'm excited to get in and do what I do. But yeah, everything has a corresponding cost, right? If I don't hunt, if I don't sell, if I don't do something, the world is not waiting to give me money. The world is not waiting to give me opportunities. And there's many entrepreneurs in this room as well. So sometimes in the season of life, it's quite nice to have a bit of structure. It's nice to be at a desk that's well run and someone tells you what to do and where to be. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that.
I like the idea of creating momentum, and I've spoken about it a lot on this podcast, and it's something that I really lean into. And as an entrepreneur, I think it's one of the most important things that we can do is to create momentum, because like you said, the bills don't pay themselves.
No.
And
they keep coming.
And they do keep coming, that's for sure. You've described your career as a portfolio career. I've heard you say that. I've written or seen you write about that. What is it about your background and all of the things that you've done, from being a investment banker to a sake entrepreneur to a professional footballer, and everything before and after that? What is it about that I think, helped you develop the skills and experiences that positions you to provide help today?
Why would people choose me?
Yeah. I'm sure you've taken a lot from this journey.
Sure. Yeah.
From all aspects of it.
So I think I'm very honest when I speak to people about what I can help them with and what I can't.
Yeah.
Right. So am I an executive coach? Yes. I work with very senior people, founders, executive, but it's always in my lane. I'm not teaching them how to run a 20,000 person organization because I've never done it. I can't pretend to, and I would never pretend to. Can I teach that man or woman how to speak more persuasively on stage or on the mic? Yeah, I can, because I know how that's done, and it's technique, and it's practice, and it's repetition, and I can help them, right? I'm someone, again, as you know, who has found the courage over and over to reorient themselves towards their true north. And I think people like that, right? I think I possess, there are many things I lack. This podcast isn't long enough to go into it, but I do have the courage. If I feel like this is something that I'm compelled to do, I will run after it, right? And I think people have seen me do the work, and they know whether or not, whether I was a saké, drinks entrepreneur, whether I was a communications coach, whether I was a speaker on stage, I deliver, right? I know you talk about personal branding a fair amount, and what, how is it important? The reputation is Michael delivers. That's something you earn, and it's something that follows you over your career. So I'd like to think people have followed me and stayed with me over the years because they know Michael has the integrity. He will do the work. He's not trying to BS his way out of this thing, right? Yeah. If I do it, I do it. I go all in. Mm-hmm. I don't mess around. Maybe that gives me some credibility.
I think also a diverse set of experiences gives you context in different situations.
Yeah.
Because changing direction and jumping from one thing to another until you find the thing that you're really looking for is not always easy.
No.
It takes a lot of courage. I'm
still figuring it out, by the way. Yeah. I don't think I've got it all figured out. I mean, I feel like I'm on the right direction of travel. I feel like this is what I'm supposed to do.
Yeah.
Right? It takes some of us longer than others to arrive there. I feel like this is it. I don't see another huge pivot for me. Yeah. Whereas before I could kind of look you in the eye and say, yeah, I think there's more to be done.
The reason I lean into it is because during my corporate career, looking back now, I feel I've grown more in the 5 to 7 years I've been out of corporate than I did for the last 15 years in corporate. Because you kind of feel like you have the blinkers on when you're in there. And then when you get out and start doing things for yourself, and as you start to jump from one thing to another, the depth and the wealth of your experiences are so much deeper. And I think that when you're dealing with other people and coaching other people, and also communicating the way that you do, a lot of that comes from actually trying all of these different things.
Yeah. I think it's very important. Again, specialists versus generalists. Yeah. For me, again, the generalists win. For me. Because I can see something over here that applies to something over there, and I can connect the dots in a way that someone who has only done one thing for a long time cannot do.
Yep.
There are things he or she can do that I can't do. True. But I think, again, when information is ubiquitous and I can Google or chat GPT anything, what becomes valuable? Discernment, experience, pattern recognition. That's what becomes valuable. And then the ability to articulate yourself. So I think that's why, I'm doubling down on what I'm doing at the moment. But yeah, with entrepreneurship, what is entrepreneurship, right? There's a lot of entrepreneurs in the room. I know we were talking earlier, just getting into it. Entrepreneurship is self-development disguised as commercial enterprise.
I like that.
Right?
Yeah.
It's self-development, and you're kidding yourself. It's about commercial enterprise. You learn so much about yourself when it's all on you and the buck stops with you. And if you don't do anything, nothing happens. You really learn a lot about yourself, right? In a very compressed space of time. So it's a vehicle for self-development. Hopefully you make money as well.
Yeah.
But we all know the statistics about startups.
Yeah. But, you learn, like you said, you learn so much, and it's a journey. And I think embracing the journey is important. And probably the most valuable thing that you get out of this is the experiences that you take away. You talked about articulating, and we all have that thing that drives us or nags us. It can be the business idea that won't go away that you haven't done. It can be going to the gym to get fit. You had an intentionality around being able to articulate, to present yourself and communicate with others at a very early age. And I believe when we caught up, you told me that this journey started for you when you were around 16 years old.
Correct. Yeah.
Which is kind of crazy, because I think when I was 16 years old...
Be careful what you say.
I wanted to be a lawyer in a courtroom going, objection, Your Honor, you know, and slamming the table.
Yeah.
And here I am now. What was it at 16 that drove this intentionality?
Yeah, so I think for context, for those who don't know me, my origin story, I was very, very shy, very reserved as a child, all the way up until I was kind of 15, 16 years old. So I would always, even well into my 20s and 30s, I would still identify as an introvert. And anyone watching me now is probably thinking, absolutely no way that guy's an introvert. Yeah. I promise you I was. And that's how I felt for most of my life. I felt very socially anxious. I didn't know how to insert myself into conversations. I didn't know how to impose myself. I shied away. I was a very sick child as well. So that's something that a lot of people don't know either, physically sick. And that, again, the embarrassment of that, I hid it from everyone. And my family knew, but no one else did. So trying to hide that, it makes you avoid certain social situations. It just compounds and gets worse, right? When I was about 13, 14 years old, managed to kind of shed the physical illness, which was great. Had a massive growth spurt, which was helpful too. A bit taller, a bit more confidence. But really, it's when does change happen? Change happens, as Tim Robbins says, change happens when the pain of staying the same is greater than the pain of change. And I was just sick and tired of being ignored, of not being able to impose myself in situations, of wanting to go after something, and I just didn't have the confidence to do it. So I set myself this KPI, I set myself an objective when I was 16 years old that summer. Basically, you must have one conversation with a stranger every single day to get over it, right? And I call this micro-bravery. I don't know if I coined that. I'm sure someone else smarter than me coined that. But for me, it was micro-bravery. What's one tiny thing I can do to get better within my control? And just the more you do it, of course, when you have a good day, you have more than one conversation, you get over it. And these bad boys here as well, I hit the books. I was the youngest kid by far. I was the youngest person by far in the library. I know that, in the self-help section. You don't see many 16-year-olds in the self-help section of Hong Kong Library in Victoria Park. There was me. I bought all the books. I read them. I absorbed. I tried to put good stuff in here, right? Because I think the level of your articulation is dictated by the content you consume. If you only consume social media, if you only consume Netflix, I'm sorry, you won't have the depth and range of language that someone who's studied all of this will have. Yeah. And again, that's not like a snooty thing like, oh, he's a bookworm or he's so literate. It's just curiosity. Read what you enjoy. I don't care what it is, but just develop a love of reading. Then you'll develop a love of language, and then you'll have fun playing with it. And I played with it for 25 years. I'm 41, right? So when you see me now on a microphone and you're like, he's decent, it's 25 years of practice, right? It's not something I turned on or something I was born with. I want you to remember how awkward and shy and afraid I was for the entire kind of first half of my life. And what gives me confidence that I can help other people is I fix myself.
It's a pretty incredible journey, mate. From a shy, introverted, sick kid.
People have had it worse, by the way.
But
people have
to
had
go
it way
from
worse.
that,
So.
and you can say that about any situation, but I think in terms of going from that to playing professional sports, professional football, playing for your country, to being a coach who teaches people how to articulate, how to communicate, how to speak, how to present themselves is pretty amazing. I
just want to interrupt though, because I feel like my sense is that there's a danger of anyone listening and watching, and this is like the Michael Campion, He's Amazing show. Yeah. I want you to remember that there's no difference between me and anyone else as long as you want it enough.
Yeah.
Right? My whole line, every single social media post I end basically the same. Talent equals practice in disguise. Talent equals practice in disguise every single time. Why were you a good footballer? You practiced more than the other goalkeepers, didn't you? That's it. I did more reps. I read more books. I got on the microphone more often than you did. I prepped for 48 hours before I came here. Well, not today, right? But I wanted it to be more serendipitous and flow. But, if I've got a big pitch, I prepare like a beast. Yeah. And you rocked up 20 minutes before and you wonder why I'm better than you. Yeah. How much do you care? If you care, you'll make it work.
I love it. I love the fact that you emphasize the prep, the hard work, the reps, but also the baby steps that you took.
Sure.
And the intentionality around one conversation every day as a 16-year-old with a stranger, it takes a lot of baby steps, but the compounding impact of baby steps is something that I never appreciated until I started this entrepreneurial journey.
And you started a podcast as well, right? So you're putting yourself in the arena every couple of weeks. You watch your performance back, presumably, right? You hate yourself because that's what all podcasters do.
Yep.
We watch ourselves and think that was horrendous.
Yep.
And then you realize, actually, it wasn't bad.
Yeah, I mean,
I can do better.
The funny story is that the first time we did panels in here, I was like, there's no way I'm hosting. I'm happy to do the panel. But, and I was going to get to this later, but there's the stories we tell ourselves and how we have to sort of change the narrative internally before we can actually see the changes externally.
Yeah.
Because I've said for years, I hate my voice. I'm not a speaker. I don't have the voice for radio. I don't have the voice for TV.
Who likes the sound of their own voice?
But, yeah, it's just,
no one.
it's just one of those things, right? And you just tell yourself these stories. Look, before we get into, and I really want to dive into the public speaking bit, but as someone who just loves sport, I want to ask you what you took from your sports career into your professional, not your professional, because you're a professional sportsman, but into your present career, because I feel sports is a foundation for so much in life, and especially team sports. Yeah,
loads of transferable principles and lessons. And there's a real danger, I think, when you ask a lot of sports people, sportsmen and women, what are the transferable principles? It's so cookie cutter. Teamwork.
Yeah.
Right. Like, no, I learned a lot about dysfunctional teams, actually, from sport. Well, what doesn't work? You see performative work, same in organizations, right? There are some people who pretend to work, some people who pretend to run, some people who pretend to lift in the gym and still get picked by the manager. Sport is very similar to business, okay? So you see all of that. So I learned from sport, actually, ironically, that there's still a lot of politics. And sometimes if the manager doesn't like you, there's nothing you can do, right? It doesn't matter how talented you are. Sometimes you're better off being planted somewhere else, right? And find someone who recognizes your value, recognizes your skills. So that's important as well. I think I learned performance under pressure. That's why I think it's very, very helpful. When you've run out in front of 20,000 people in a stadium, suddenly doing a boardroom pitch for 10 people doesn't really faze you anymore. Yeah. So it's a good desensitizer, I think, in terms of performance anxiety is really, really good. And I've messed up plenty, by the way. You know, I missed I think one of the things that haunts me sometimes is still I missed a penalty in the FA Cup final, Hong Kong Stadium, thousands of people. We had a massive win bonus for the team if I scored, and I missed. And I sent everyone home poorer. And I had to deal with that, and I'm crying on the pitch. I
did not know that. It makes you stronger.
But the thing is, like, did I take the next penalty? Yeah, I stood up and I took it, right? Because you know you're good. Sometimes you miss, right? But you got to get in there again. With sport, I think just massive. The biggest lesson probably was very early. Again, if I go back to 16 years old, I had an opportunity to play for a very, very big team, sign for a very, very big team, and I didn't have the confidence to put myself forward, right? I should have told the coach, you need to pick me. I needed to be a little bit arrogant in that moment, and I didn't have the confidence to do it. So I think recognizing that the world will not hand you opportunities, sometimes you need to bash the door down and make someone listen to you. You don't get what you deserve, you get what you negotiate. That goes for salaries, that goes for job opportunities, that goes for winning business deals. You don't get what you deserve, you get what you negotiate. And if you're a better communicator, you will open more doors. Things will be given to you that weren't given to the next person.
Powerful lessons to take into your career post-sport. Very powerful. Michael, if I come to you and I say to you, I want to improve the way that I show up every day. I want to be able to inspire my team. And I have a bunch of ideas and experiences that I want to share and articulate, be it on stage, TED Talk, podcast. What would you say to me, and what would the journey that you would envisage for me look like?
In order to get your story out there.
In order to get my story out there. And I'm guessing this is kind of the thing that the typical client who comes to you comes with those thoughts.
I think if your desire is to influence others, right, you kind of prefaced it with, I want to inspire my team, I want them to act a certain way, I want them to be led by me. You have to, first of all, know what makes them tick. So it begins with, there was a lot of I. That's not
Yeah.
a you thing. That's just everyone in general. Like, here's what I want to do. Here's my big idea. It doesn't really matter. It doesn't count for anything unless you've understood what motivates the other person across from you, right? What motivates the people in the room? Why has everyone come here today? I have to give them something, right? And it can't just be, that's why I said I don't want it to be the Michael Campion is great story. That doesn't help anyone. I have to find the pain in each person. What are they struggling with? And map it to mine. So how can you do that? First, I have to know the people in my team, know the people who are going to be in the audience, then introspect, right? What is it about my story that connects it uniquely to theirs? Because there's always something, right? So the thing about communication is there are certain themes and emotions that are universal, right? We all feel pain. We all feel happiness. We understand joy. We understand envy. We understand jealousy. These are motifs and emotions that you want to play into. Most people haven't taken the time to go through their kind of Rolodex of stories. How many people here, but just by quick show of hands, have a story bank? Like where you've documented, you're an author though, right? Yeah, there you go. You don't count. You're in the 1%, right? Again, in the corporate world, I do this all the time. No one raises their hand. Maybe the odd person, right? I'm not saying you have to do it. I'm saying it will help you. And it's also quite enjoyable, by the way, to take the time in our busy lives to go and introspect and write down. I've got a Google Doc. You can use a notebook, do whatever you want. But just spend some time. What are the inflection points in my life that made me the way I am? And then how can I help people by telling these stories? That's the bit most people miss. People tell the story and they're like, me. Okay, why should Freddie care? Why is it going to make his life better? Because if you can't latch onto it, there's no point. But my documenting and creating a story bank as step one is very, very helpful. So that's one of the very first things I will get them to do is just go away and build that. Then I will help them kind of find the narrative, find the common thread, make it cohesive. And then we work on that message together. We work on the story craft, right? But I think in terms of, we can go into structure, you can get more tactical with me, that's fine. But it's fine to want to be a public speaker. You need to have something to say first. So
story bank and an individual's authentic story is obviously really important. And
well, authentic. Yeah, we can spend all day talking about authenticity, right?
Yeah.
It's on every podcast. For me, it's very, very simple. It's the thing that will uniquely differentiate you and makes you a category of one.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm very conscious of especially when I write, right, on LinkedIn, if anyone uses social media, Instagram, LinkedIn, I want to write in a way that is, you could remove the name from the top and be like, that's Michael. Mm-hmm. You just know. There's a unique style and cadence to it, a rhythm to it. The metaphors I use, the structure I use is me. That is how you or anyone else will stand out in a world of AI slop, right? The AI slop is just taking over social media. The humanity, the story that you bring to it, what you saw, what you felt, all those emotions, that is what will make you unique and make you stand out, I think.
So how do you take that piece and connect it with what you have learned or what you have picked up from the audience that you are trying to engage? So if it's my team,
sure, and
I know a little bit about each member of my team, and I want to use my authentic story to inspire them. How do I connect those two things?
Yeah, but it's knowing them. So if you know that he or she over there has kids, you can use certain metaphors. You can pull on certain heartstrings, right?
Okay.
You can talk
about finding the common thread.
You can talk about your kids, right? Yeah. And you'll find something there.
Yeah.
That's not going to land with someone who doesn't have kids. It just won't. It's fine. Someone who loves dogs, loves animals, whatever it is, someone who's worked in a certain sector, using those the commonality, the common ground is really, really helpful.
Yeah.
I think just showing, again, I've said it before, but just showing people that you actually care.
Yeah.
Because most people, when they're asked to speak, what do? They play it super, super safe. They're actually just playing not to get caught out. So this is why you see every single corporate pitch or appearance sounds exactly the same. They're scared of being vulnerable. Because if you're vulnerable on camera, which I'm happy to be, you can be hurt. Because if people criticize me today, it's me they're criticizing. If I put on a mask and I perform and I pretend to be someone else, it doesn't land. That's why you see so many kind of fake people on the internet. It kind of bounces off them because it was never them to begin with. That can be a useful strategy, maybe, if you want to. Do I think it's the right way to live? I don't think so. I'd rather people didn't like me for being me.
Okay. So what does a coaching journey look like? Someone here who really wants to improve their communication and show up differently or tell their story differently. so that it lands better. They go away, they come up with the authentic story bank. Okay, I've got this.
Sure. And what is the emotional effect that you want to create, right? That's where we start, right? So what do I want everyone to feel when they walk out the room? Right? That's what you start with, right?
Okay.
So what, again, today, to bring it back concretely into reality, what do I want? I want people here, hopefully, to have had a couple of laughs. I hope there was some emotional depth, and I hope they learn one or two things to make them better. If I do that, I win. I think that already beats most other events and most other podcasts. If I can give people a couple of sound bites, stories to remember, but things that they can actually, put into practice to make themselves better. Right?
Yeah.
So a coaching journey for me, there's two ways, right? So again, for people, anyone here use a coach? Few people? Yeah. So again, tend to work in two different ways. One is kind of structured in terms of the cadence. So it's let's meet weekly, let's meet monthly, right? Or we've got a speech to prepare for and you're cramming, right? So let's say you've got a big TED talk or a big pitch in 2 weeks' time. Michael, I just need to get in shape fast. So that's going to be very intense. And we're going to spend a lot of time co-creating the speech together. A more regular kind of coaching journey would be, look, Michael, I want to be more persuasive. I want to be more influential. I want to be more confident when I get up on stage. Okay. So I like to front load a lot of effort and spend like 2 to 3 hours at the beginning and just do a mini masterclass, working on structure, doing a lot of drills, finding out what their limiting beliefs are even before that as well. By the way, because most people here, if you have a fear of public speaking, it's because something traumatic happened to you. Most of you will probably, I saw a few head nods. I speak to very senior people and it's, some big scary looking CEO and he tells me, I won't reveal his name, but he fluffed his lines in the school play when he was 6 years old. And that's what he keeps coming back to. And that's the blocker. So we need to fix the blocker first.
Yeah.
But I like to try and front load as much technique as I can. Most people have never actually watched themselves back on camera or on the mic. We're lucky because we get to put ourselves in the arena every single week.
Scary though, the first couple of times you look at yourself.
No, but but I'm like, if you can't do it with me in this safe space and watch yourself back, when are you going to do it? Because a lot of people aren't even aware of all of their filler words. They're not aware of all the little stumbles, all of these kind of lazy turns of phrase, the bad habits. They're not aware of them because they've never watched it back. How would an athlete get better? What's the first thing we did after playing a game? The next day, what do? 9 a.m. You watch the tape, right? You watch the tape. That was bad. That wasn't great. Oh, that actually worked. That landed. I felt that in the room. That was good. I'll keep that. Most people have never done that. So I think it's useful. You probably saw me, actually. I brought a coaching client here and we just ran a drill, just pretend podcast with the lights on, people working away there on the laptop, super awkward on purpose, just to see how he reacted. Because that will teach me a lot as well.
Yeah. How do you typically start, Michael, when you're going up on stage? You've got a big presentation to do. You've got a room of hundreds or thousands of people.
Yeah.
What does your prep look like? And what do you do just before you get up there on stage? What does that look like?
There is an element of one thing, if you haven't heard of it before, one thing I want to land is the notion of persuasion. Right? So we talk about persuasion a lot, persuasion. What have you done beforehand to stack the odds in your favor? So even the quality of your communication, you use the analogy of, we can all relate to as entrepreneurs, going into a room, you're trying to sell something, right? Trying to convince someone of something. Okay, what does the quality of your communication look like via email, via telephone call, up until that point? What is your personal brand walking into the room? How much due diligence have you done on the person? Do you know the wife's name, the husband's name? Do you know the kid's name? Do you know where they work? Do you know where they went to university? Like Kenneth went to the same university, right? Went to Durham over there, right? Knowing something about them. Like, I'm not going to say, oh, you went to Durham. Where did you go to university? Oh, Durham? No way. I stalked him on LinkedIn. It's fine, right? You don't tell them that, right? Don't tell them you saw them walking the dog on the beach yesterday because that's scary. But you can do due diligence. You can do research. How much have you persuaded them before you even walk in the room, right? What else did I do before today, before we got on the mic, for example? You saw me. Was I hiding? Did I have my head in my notes? No, I made sure that I said hello to every single person, right? Every single person that was here. Now I have friends in the room, even if I didn't know you before, right? You're going to build a level of rapport and chemistry with someone, hopefully genuine.
Yep.
When you walk in the room, okay, they're kind of on your side now. Whereas before, if I've got my head buried in my notes, I'm very aloof and very distant. And again, you see a lot of people in the business world, don't you? When they're preparing for a presentation, what are they doing? Are they working in the room or are they in the corner on their laptop? And then when the clock ticks 12, hi guys, right? And they try to go from 0 to 100. It doesn't matter how good you are. Going from 0 to 100 is really hard. So again, principles from sport, do a warm up the room, try and bring your most sociable, extroverted self into the room. That's really helpful. And again, if you can't do that because you're not in a room full of people, phone a friend. Phone someone who you know you get on well with, have a bit of witty banter. The most sociable, extroverted version of you will then be transported into the Zoom call, into the boardroom, right? In terms of my first 30 seconds, I have a couple of kind of things that I always try and do. Get a laugh, get some audience interaction. It's why I've asked you to do the hand raises. It's why I've asked kind of little polls in the room. I have to make them feel involved. And it's the same principle when you're in a boardroom, when you're doing a pitch, when you're doing a speech to 200 people. Get some interaction early on, even if it's asking them, by the way, to give a round of applause to the person who came before. That's nice to show a bit of deference and respect. And also the people will associate the applause with you as well. Okay, so it warms up the room, gets them physically moving. The worst thing is a silent pin drop room. Yeah. So if I can get a laugh in the first 30 seconds, even if it's just a little ripple, get some interaction, everyone relaxes. And I relax too. Yeah.
Super interesting. I was thinking that you were going to say something like, come with big energy, walk on tall.
Sure. I mean, body language is a huge part of it. I can be really uncharismatic and make this really quite boring if I change my tonality and my body language. It's very easy.
Yeah.
Right? But you have to make the choice because we like seeing people who are about it.
Yeah.
We like people who are turned on by what they do, right? I think passion is contagious, conviction is contagious. So if you're trying to pitch someone of something or convince someone of an idea and I come in low energy, poor body language, I'm not buying from you. Why would I? You don't believe it yourself. Yeah? But that's also, I want to make the point that, again, if you don't feel like you're a very extroverted person and you can't be this big version, okay? And look, by the way, some occasions don't call for it. If I come in too big, it's going to feel weird, right? So it's match the energy, then slowly lift, right? Like the frog in the boiling water. He won't notice if I turn the temperature up slowly. If I drop him in the boiling pot, it hurts, right? If I turn it up slowly, match their energy levels. If it's a more calm, conservative room, you want to match that. You want to respect that because you're going to feel very out of place. But then I'm going to slowly bring them up with a couple of safer jokes, a bit more energy, try and get them more excited. Yeah.
The body language thing is really interesting to me. My wife and I were at a comedy show, and I remember there was the opening act and then the main act. The main act was Michael McIntyre.
Okay, solid.
He got more laughs walking from entering the stage to the mic than the opening act had over this 45-minute set.
Yes.
Just by his little waddle.
He's a funny little man.
And his little smile.
Sure.
And his sort of pause, and he looked around.
Yeah.
And everyone was laughing before he even got to the mic.
Yeah.
And I'm like, how did he do that?
Not everyone's capable of doing a Michael McIntyre.
It was like, just for me, it was just such a moment of like, that body language was so powerful.
Yeah. Well, it's a great demonstration of the power of it, right?
Yeah.
So again, not everyone can be as funny as a physical comedian like Michael McIntyre, but can you own the space? Do you look like you deserve to be there? Or are you shying away? One of the biggest mistakes people make, by the way, is talking on the way up to the stage or talking on the way up to the mic. And I can't hear you before you get here. I can't hear you. But a lot of people, they're just so nervous. They just want to get it out and start talking. You get introduced, Pia, come up to the stage, and she's talking as she comes up. Come up, be calm, smile, begin. Right? It's very kind of, it detracts from your charisma and your competence when you do that. But also, to the point of warming up the room, all stand-up comedians understand this intuitively. It's very hard to bring an audience from 0 to 100.
Yeah.
That's why they have warm-up acts.
Yeah.
When you go to watch Beyonce, she doesn't come on first, does she? There's like 2 hours before her.
Yeah.
Taylor Swift. So by the time they get on stage, you are amped, right? They kind of use some of these tricks to your advantage if you can. Yeah.
When it's going wrong, do you have any tricks or tips? Because I think we've all been there.
Yeah, sure.
Where you've gone out there and you've prepared, and in your head you've kind of you've played it through a few times and you know how it's going to go, and then it ain't going anything like that.
Yeah, you start to sweat, getting a little bit hot.
Yeah. And I can remember disaster, and I posted about it a few days ago in the sort of promotion of this podcast, actually, this event. I just completely stopped, sat down, and handed over to the next person. Long time ago.
Yeah. Just playing.
Honestly, until I spoke to you about doing this event, I I'd been that and thought I'm never going to think about it again. And then in the run up to this event, I started thinking about it, and
Picking at old wounds.
It all came back.
Yeah.
But yeah, what are the tricks, or what are the things that you can do?
Well, I think most people will probably be able to resonate with that story, right? Or freezing on stage, or freezing during a presentation, not being able to deliver. I would ask you in that situation, I don't know because I wasn't there. Had you done the work? Had you done the prep? No.
I thought I did. I'd look through the deck going, I know this.
Cursory, right?
Yeah.
A cursory glance, a brief look, a flick through. And if we're, again, it begins with honesty, right? Have you done the work? Do you deserve to be up there? Because there's borrowed confidence and there's earned confidence. I can give you a slap on the back and tell you a few things and whisper something in your ear and make you feel like $1 million. But if you haven't done the work to earn it, again, you're going to fall flat. So I think the first thing you do is just, the separation is in the preparation. I like things that rhyme. Okay. The separation is in the preparation. So what separates good from great? The person who prepares obsessively. You just don't see it, right? I'm giving a workshop tomorrow at a big corporate. I've prepared. I've done that same workshop many, many times, but I still spend hours and hours and hours crafting the deck, making sure it's specific to them. And I really practice, right? It's like a 3-hour workshop. I'll easily do 12 hours of prep for a 3-hour thing, right? And most people, again, I'm not belittling, it's just the way it is. You're busy in your job, you don't have time, so you spend 15 minutes before you jump on the call. It's not enough. And if you care enough, you will make time. I don't care that it's late. I don't care that it's early. I'm sorry. If you care enough, you will find the time to prepare and rehearse. So I think it's minimizing the chances of freezing, first and foremost. If it so happens that you still freeze, you're on the spot, the worst thing you can do is keep digging. And I think that's where most people just then make it worse for themselves. Physically speaking, you should actually try and step back. This is like a predator-prey thing. If you step back, your field of vision will widen and you will assess things a bit more calmly. Most people kind of lean in and keep going and digging and digging. The best thing to do, you will notice, if you ever come to one of my workshops and I just start an exercise, it's because I don't know where I'm going next, right? So it's inserting some kind of interaction, asking a question. I love asking questions anyway. They're useful. But throwing it back to the audience and asking, sorry, guys, it feels like there might be a little bit of uncertainty around what I just said. Does anyone have any questions?
Buys you a little bit of time, right, as well.
Try not to look like a nervous wreck while you take a drink. Yeah. Right? Take a few deep breaths. Bow. Beer. No? Okay, cool. I bought myself 10 seconds as long as no one sees it. Right? Don't show the fear and terror in your eyes. So it's throwing it back to a question. If you can sense that someone's uncomfortable, again, I'm looking at body language. I spoke about body language all the time. So if you feel like it's not going well and it's not landing and people are becoming disinterested and leaning back, sighing and checking their phones, then you need to change something up. There's something in the rhythm of your presentation that's not working. And again, I find it's usually attention span, or people don't feel like they've been heard, right? Because a lot of senior people will walk into a meeting with a point of view that they want to get across. Sometimes put the deck away, right? So you've come armed. You did your pitch yesterday, right? Or recently, right? Went very well, which is good. Sometimes you don't need to do the pitch. You don't need to do the presentation. You prepare. But sometimes the best thing to do is just, hey, guys, girls, I sent you the materials. Do you have any questions? Just let them come with it. You can diffuse a lot of the tension in the room. You might not even need to open the PowerPoint. Because anytime you open the PowerPoint, anytime you open the iPad, and again, right?
Yeah. I said to you at the beginning that you were going to call me out.
He joked with me at the beginning, like Michael's going to call me out for having an iPad. The reason, look, some of the top podcasters in the world use an iPad. Like Chris Williamson still has one. Many others do. I don't. It's just a choice. It's a physical barrier between us, and it's also a psychological barrier. You haven't made much eye contact with me, even though I know you're a lovely human being, and I love you.
It's good.
Right?
It's good.
Because I would ask you, again, honestly, on the podcast right now, have you done the prep? Have you looked into my stuff sufficiently? I think you have.
Yeah.
So I don't think you need that.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
I don't.
Yeah.
I'm being deliberately provocative, but I think in anyone's kind of evolution of their speaking career, my early podcasts and early appearances, did I have a script? Yeah. Did I have an iPad? Yeah. In the last year or two? No. That doesn't mean I don't prepare. Like I was listening, I was going through my story bank, going through some of my past workshops, thinking about things I might want to say today that would be useful. And then I put the phone away. My phone and wallet are with the lovely receptionist over there. Sorry, with Jojo. Yeah. I don't even want to feel the phone in my pocket. I know, because I'm going to be compelled to check it,
Yeah,
just want to be
that's
here.
something I do as well. Put it on Do Not Disturb and stick it back over there. Yeah.
Right. So I think that's something, again, it's a decision you can make with enough earned confidence that I don't need it anymore.
Yeah. I mean, that was going to be my next question, actually, is about taking cues from the audience and how important that is.
Yeah. And it's hard when the audience is very big because you can't see them. You can't see it. In a smaller audience, I can kind of feel it, right? So I can adjust where I... You can. It's fine. You don't have to bail midway. And to bail and abandon midway. I think I always call it like a script as a parachute. So for me, it's nice to have. Only deploy it if you need it, right?
Yeah.
So...
It totally is. It's like swimming with armbands, right? It's like
stay present with me. If you feel like actually there was something I did want to dig into, by all means, look at it. It's fine. Right? Yeah. It's the same with your deck as well. And again, most of us present with decks, with slides, with PowerPoints. You should be at a level where if the power went off, you can still deliver a good presentation. And not many people can say that if they're hand on heart. I always ask them, if the lights went out, could you still present in a persuasive way? Most people, they couldn't. But we're all capable of getting to that level. It's, again, have you taken the time to craft a single story for each slide?
Yeah.
One slide, one story. What's the anecdote? If you remember that, I can present it. I don't need it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the best presentations I've ever done, I've gone back and said, what's the story I'm trying to tell with each single slide?
Yeah, every single,
And I remember, Charlotte was there. I remember this. It was at Grand Hyatt. We were pitching them. And I came out, and my team just came up to me and said, that was amazing.
Yeah.
And every slide was a story.
Yeah, as it should be.
And yeah, it's really interesting that you said that because I hadn't thought about that until you mentioned it.
Yeah.
What do most leaders miss?
What do most leaders miss? Damn, straight in.
To you, yeah.
What do they miss in terms of communication? Yeah. They under-communicate would be the big one. It's the massive one. People assume that people are mind readers. They think the team knows what they should be doing. They don't. You have to over-communicate and say it a million times and you'll be sick of your own voice, but actually that's what the team needs and that's what they want.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean micromanaging, by the way. It just means clarity of what I expect and also praise. So I think lack of positivity, I don't know if it's just my nature, but I feel like good management is catching people doing something well, right? Good management is the art of catching people doing something well. If you recognize someone's doing a good job, if they've done something that you want, praise it as soon as you see it. And a lot of people don't because they think that maybe if I massage their ego too much, if I'm too nice, they won't respect me. You can still be kind of authoritative, but recognize a good job. You don't have to make a big deal out of it. Rashid, awesome job yesterday. Loved it. Thank you. Right? It's like people need a bit of praise. We all pretend that we don't need praise and validation. We all need validation. So give it. Right? So I think they under-communicate. There's a lack of positivity and recognition of when people are doing something well, because what gets rewarded gets repeated. Again, human laws of nature, right? What gets rewarded gets repeated. So reward the behavior that you want to see, I think is a big one as well. And then I kind of alluded to it earlier, but leaders are very, very, very safe with the way they communicate. They have the vision and mission and pillars from corporate HQ, and they just regurgitate that. I'm not interested. No one cares. Literally no one cares. Just tell me why you care. Tell me why this is important to you. What are your reasons for getting out of bed? Why are you going to fight for us? Can you make me better? These are all the things that I, as an employee, would be looking for.
There are times when I think it's super important that a leader clearly articulates and the team understands what the leader wants from them. Mm-hmm. I think that's a little bit different than giving someone praise. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that I've noticed, and in the preparation for this conversation, I read a quote that said that the biggest illusion with communication is that people think that it's actually happened.
Yeah,
which
love
was,
that one.
Yeah, I think it was George Bernard Shaw. And I can look back on meetings that we've had over the last year here and think probably one a week where someone thinks they've landed the point. And whether it's language, not everyone's first language is English. Whether it's just completely not being aware of the fact that what they thought they'd communicated hasn't been received by the audience.
Yeah.
And so I'm kind of thinking about that and how leaders need to approach that to make sure that what they are hoping to land has actually landed with the audience.
Yeah.
Because I think that's something that people struggle with a lot. And it's really interesting in a Hong Kong context. There's a customer of ours that we work with, and Charlotte and I go and see them. And we come out and we're walking down Hollywood Road having a chat about the meeting we just had. And it was amazing to me that we walked out with a completely different understanding of what the customer had said to us.
Yeah, love that.
And
that's why it's so important to have, I think, multiple points of view in the room, right? He loved us. No, he hated us, right? Yeah.
I'm kind of like,
no idea.
Really?
Yeah.
You know, and I just feel like this is something that happens so much.
Sure.
And almost more so in a place like Hong Kong, where you've got this melting pot of people.
Yeah.
English is the common language of business, but it's a second language for so many people.
Yeah, and different cultures use the same word in a different way. Like for a British person, they like the word quite, right? So if I say that was quite good, quite is a modifier. Quite good means it was shit, right? If a British person tells you that was quite good, it means it was absolutely terrible. Whereas if an American or Chinese person says it was quite good, they actually mean it. It was genuinely quite good. Like I thought Michael would be average, but he was actually quite good. They mean it, right?
Yep.
So again, it's passing it through the lens of culture and background and language. But yeah, that's why I think it's helpful to have multiple people in the room to pass that.
When you do your trainings with leaders and with corporates, how important is the message that you deliver to them about listening? Because I feel like listening is something that you can be sitting there and say that you're listening, but then you're on your phone or you're on your iPad. Or, you know, and it's something I'm working on.
Well, we're all working on
honestly,
it, right?
Because, you know, and being present and actually sitting in a meeting and saying, right, I'm going to shut up and let the team figure this out and just sit here.
Yeah.
I find that really difficult sometimes.
Yeah. No, and again, I will tell you on camera and on the mic how great I am at being present, and my wife will completely poo-poo everything that I say. But I do think it's a superpower in today's world if you can be really, really present with someone. And again, that's why I took the decision to put the phone over there. I don't even want it anywhere near me.
Yeah.
Again, I can't remember the exact statistic. You can look it up on ChatGPT very, very quickly. It's true. Even the mere presence, if my phone is on the table, you will trust me less, you will like me less. And we'd all do that in meetings, right? We go to Starbucks for a business meeting, we meet, shake hands, the phone's on the table. I hate screen up, again, like because I can see the notifications flashing. So I'll even put it face down, which maybe decreases the percentage of lack of trust and lack of likability, but still, to put it away, I think. So there's even small things. And do people have short attention spans now? Everyone's like nodding. Yeah, they do. But who's binged Netflix until it tells you, are you still watching? Everyone's, are you still watching? Everyone's seen that screen.
Yeah.
So you don't have a short attention span. You have a low boredom threshold.
Interesting.
You have a low tolerance for boredom because you have the entire universe in this little tablet, this little glass thing that we stare into every single night before we try and go to sleep, right? So you're competing against everything else, which means your ability to tell a good story is even more important now because I'm competing against Lisa's phone and everything that's in there, every social media app that she's got, right? And they're trillion-dollar companies for a reason, right? They're full of the smartest people in the world, and their only job, they go to work 12 hours a day. How can I keep Michael on this device? How can I distract him? That's the only job. How are you supposed to win? Like, to put it away. You can't win.
Yeah. You know, I travel to Vietnam and Taiwan a lot, and I meet a lot of customers. And the hardest thing for me with the phone is when the discussion is going on in Vietnamese or in Chinese, and I'm sitting there as the boss. And I'm waiting for someone to translate because I have no idea what's going on for 5 minutes. And to sit there disciplined enough not to take that phone out and just sort of hold a coffee and sort of
stare into space.
Wait till someone tells me something and just sort of nod and pretend that I'm kind of involved in the conversation.
Reading body language.
Yeah, I think sometimes with these multicultural sort of discussions and environments, it can be really, really difficult.
Yeah, again, communication's funny, right? Because I do a lot of business in Japan.
Yeah.
And I don't know if anyone else does business in Japan. Again, beautiful people. It takes a long time to earn their trust, but once you've got it, they're very loyal. Yeah. But they are so comfortable with silence. Oh my God. In a way that I am not. So they will, if I ask them a question, you know, let's say, are you okay with the pricing? Already I'm a bit nervous, right? When you ask them, how's the price? They'll literally sit for 2 minutes, just dead silence, thinking about it. And that's just a normal part of their culture. They take time to respond, whereas the kind of Brits, the Americans, we tend to try and fill that dead air much more quickly. But that's normal for them. It's very uncomfortable for us. But again, if you lose in a negotiation, whoever speaks first, right? Whoever speaks first loses as a rule. So you have to be comfortable sitting with that silence in that context. But the presence thing, I think, is huge. And I want to just double click on it for a little bit longer, because presence is a huge part of charisma and charm, right? So there's this great author, Olivia Fox-Caban. She a great book called The Charisma Myth. You can look it up. So her kind of diagram or Venn diagram of charisma is power, presence, warmth. 3 circles, overlapping circles, right? Power, presence, warmth. So you can be very powerful. You can have a high status job, whatever it is. You can be warm and friendly, but if you're not sufficiently with me, if you're not listening, if you're not present, you will never be charismatic. You will never be charming. And it's actually the easiest lift of all 3 if you can put the phone away, if you can put the laptop away. It's actually the easiest lift.
The Japanese example is interesting because I think holding one's silence is difficult.
I find it difficult.
You know, but I think it's a power play, honestly, when you can do it.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely a power play.
It's sure. It doesn't always feel that way when you're actually trying to do it. You know?
Sweating your way through it.
You feel like you're giving away the power almost, which is contradictory.
Yeah.
Michael, going on to companies, what is it that they generally want when they come to you?
Mm-hmm.
What are they looking to help their teams with? Because you've talked about CPD days and how employees generally dread them.
Yeah, everyone has them, right? Anyone who's worked in a business of any size, you know, it's CPD day or you've got training, you see it in your calendar, you know, the training coming up. Most employees, if they're honest, they're like, oh, gosh, do I have to go? So I think from a position of knowing that, my first instinct is I need to make this enjoyable. I need to make it high energy. I need to make it interactive because I want to blow them out the water, right? So I want to make sure it's very different to the ones they've had before. People want tools, and I'm conscious I haven't given you many tools, so I want to give you a couple before we wrap up. But they want some low-hanging fruit that they can take away that immediately makes them better, right? So one example is structure, okay? Structure doesn't sound sexy. Structure is so important. It makes you sound so much more articulate. It makes you sound so much more persuasive if you've structured your sentences correctly. So one speaking structure I give them is PREP. I don't know if you've heard me talk about this before, but the PREP method. Very easy to remember. I like my acronyms. PREP, P-R-E-P. So it stands for point, reason, example, point. Okay? Point, reason, example, point. If someone asks you any question on any topic, if you answer in that structure, you will sound smart. It could be total bullshit, but you will at least sound smart. I would prefer you weren't full of, BS. I would prefer you had some substance.
So give us an example.
So the easiest example for me, easy lift, but actually let's have some fun and someone give me a topic. But I would say if someone says, Michael, what's the most important thing about public speaking? I would say, what's my favorite line? Point. Talent is practice in disguise. With public speaking, talent is practice in disguise. Reason being, anytime you see someone on stage, on camera, who's super confident, they've done 1,000 reps when you've only done 1 or 2. For example, I used to be incredibly shy. You know that, introverted. What did I do when I was 16 years old? I set myself a KPI, 1 conversation with a stranger every single day. And 25 years later of invisible practice, I get paid to speak. It's mental. Right? My point is, greatness is made in the dark when no one is watching. Okay? So I start with a punchline. I end with wisdom, right? So point, reason, example, point. You start with a punchline and you end with the point wrapped in a principle, wrapped in wisdom. What is the lesson? What's the lesson that I can apply to anything? Because if I say greatness is made in the dark when no one is watching, like, yeah, true. Sport, business, right? Public speaking, anything. Yeah? Someone give me one. Let's have some fun. I might be toast on air, but it's fine. Any question or any topic, and just try put it in that structure. Sure.
How do you deal with situations where the person you're talking to does not follow the same speaking etiquette that you have? For example, you mentioned like someone puts their phone, all the things that but the person in front of you probably it's a cultural difference, any kind of difference. But they blatantly do not follow. It's like repeated.
Yeah, I love that. That's such a difficult one as well. She's just thrown me a massive curveball. So I think my point would be communication is a two-way street, right? It's a joint responsibility. So reason being, they have their way of communicating, you have your way. There's no way of saying whose is correct. But what I do as a principal, again, is what I said earlier. match the energy, then slowly lift. Okay, so I need to make the other person feel comfortable if I want to be able to influence them, if I want them to listen to me. If I impose my style on them, they're not going to listen, they're not going to be receptive. So I would actually try and be flexible, be a chameleon, adapt to their style first, and then slowly try and introduce some of my style and impose it on them, right? So I think the point is communication's it's a two-way street, it's a joint responsibility, but I would always try and match, then lift. It was okay, right? Well, not 10 out of 10, but it was okay, right? It made sense, it was cogent. Again, you put me on the spot on camera. If I actually had time to go away and script something, I could make it really good, yeah? So my point is it works for spontaneous speech. Again, if you're on camera, if you're on stage getting grilled in the boardroom, like, okay, I need something fast, stick to it. You can't go wrong. Why do people get scared? You go off on tangents because you don't have the structure. You don't have the skeleton, right? If I know I have the parachute, a PREP, I won't get lost. I can always find my way home. Yeah.
So how does that help a sales team? Because I'm assuming a lot of companies bring you in to say, help my sales team to do a better job. Because I've got my sales manager here as well.
Okay. So what's the point? You start with the punchline, right? Yeah. Is one of my big principles, right? GTTP, get to the point. Most people take too long. So what's the punchline? Why Banyan Workspace? You tell me.
Yeah.
I'm putting you on the spot.
Okay. Why Banyan Workspace?
Why Banyan Workspace?
I think that...
Just try wrap it in that structure. Yeah.
Right. So this workspace was designed by entrepreneurs for entrepreneurs.
Good.
We have, I think, the biggest focus in the market on hospitality.
Okay.
And honestly, going the extra mile for every single one of our members. And I'll give you an example of that. Every single one of my team has worked in a corporate environment. So when a member comes to us and says, I've started a business, I'm looking to recruit, I've never done a job description before. I don't know another workspace in Hong Kong that would actually sit with the member and actually help them to draft a job description, tell them how to post it, where to post it, do it bilingual, and actually do the work for them.
Yeah.
And I think that is something super unique. I think the fact that we're boutique in terms of size, means that this team, and I'm very forgetful, but my team knows every member's name, greets them, and we have a community, not just in name, but in practice.
Good. I felt it. Right?
Yeah.
And like with anything in life, conviction fixes tone. So if you believe it, I will believe it. If I had to be hypercritical, I think you could have shaved off the last 20 seconds. You didn't need it. When you had me, when you're saying like, I don't know of another space where someone would literally come in, help them with a job description, actually write it for them and do it. Then I think you wrap in the final piece. So we're not just a community by name, we're actually community by spirit. Right? I think that would have been enough.
Okay.
Again, word economy, right?
How important is the story versus the product?
Story. It's always story.
It's always story, right?
It's always story.
Yeah.
Freddie sells houses. Story. Why do people buy a house? Multiple reasons. I don't know if you're familiar with it, but again, this is useful. It applies not just to real estate, but the one that I quite like as a model for why do people buy is the 4 Fs. Have you heard of the 4 Fs when it comes to real estate? Bit of fun. So why would people buy a house? Facts, feelings, fun, flashy. That's why people buy anything, actually. So some people would just buy purely on facts, okay? So they just want to know what's the rental per square foot, what's it going to cost me, what's my GDV, right? What's it next to, distance to train station, distance from my kid's school, right? All that important stuff, right? They're just based on facts. Some people, most people will go on feelings, right? How good would it feel to be sat around that fire at Christmas time with the family, kids opening their presents over there? Yeah. Look at that view. How good would it be when your mates come over? They're going to be so jealous. Oh, look at the wine fridge on the balcony, right? They're buying off feelings. You're selling feelings. That's how most people actually buy. We buy with our emotions and we justify with logic after, right? Again, like no man's walked into a Porsche showroom and been like, yeah, this is an excellent product. I love the technical specs on this. They want the way the woman looks at them when they're driving the Porsche. That's why they bought it. They justify with logic after. Some people just want to have fun, right? And they will buy from you because they like you, right? That's a social proof. Like someone, we buy from friends, right? All other things being equal, we buy from friends. Yeah. If I like spending time with you and your product is equal or equivalent to what's out there, I will buy from you. Okay. So some people just want to be around you. And then what's the last one? Flashy. Some people just want the best of everything. This is the most expensive house on the peak. Do you want it? Yes. Right? The Hermes handbag, the Birkin bag, right? I just want the best. Some people just want the best of everything. They don't care about anything else, right? So it's understanding, like, I'm having this conversation with this person. I'm trying to understand where they live. So you asked me earlier, sometimes you're doing a pitch or a presentation that's not landing. Maybe you're spending all your time and feelings land, and this person just wants the facts. They just want to know the price. They want to know the rental. They want to know the yield. And I'm not naturally a facts guy. I'm more of a feelings and stories guy. So I need to adjust now and speak to him or her in his or her language and reverse. But most people, we operate in the realm of emotion and feeling. It's just true.
So again, they're going back to the point you made earlier of knowing your audience.
Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely knowing your audience. Do they want the flashy?
Yeah.
Do they want the facts?
Yeah.
You know?
What do they want? And sometimes you don't know. So again, if I'm doing a sales pitch for, real estate to 1,000 people, I'm going to have all 4 archetypes in that audience, correct? So I need to touch all of the 4 Fs at some point in my presentation. I'll probably over-index on the facts and the feelings, fun and flashy, not so much. You could just name drop, what celebrity lives in the neighborhood. That's why anyone buys in Beverly Hills or Santa Monica or anything like that. Yeah. So it's having a message for every single person in that room that will sing to them. Yeah.
So keeping on the topic of sales, I've heard you say that cold outreach is not the only way. What's the other way?
I think if you can, at all costs, make it warm, right? I don't think that's a surprise to people. Yes, you can do cold outreach. There's nothing wrong with it. I think it has to be a tool in the toolkit. It has to be a tool in the arsenal. You can't reach every single person that's in your TAM, right? It's in your, that's your persona, your buying persona. You can't. I think most people are lazy and they don't do the work to turn cold into warm. And the easiest lift to do that is just a bit of research online, where they went to university, things they've done, things they've posted online, and referencing that, just saying something like a regular human being, like, how are we having a talk out there?
Yeah.
What you ask questions, you get to know someone, what makes them tick, give them a compliment, if it's justified. But just speak to them like another human. Don't try and sell. Most people rush into it and they burn the leads too quick, right, when it comes to outreach and sales. So I think always look for the common connection. If I get an intro from a friend, it's so much easier to close, right? It's so much more likely to get over the line if I get a friend to introduce me and they say, hey, Michael's a good guy. He did a good job for us. Introduce me, right? But that's why I do content. And I started a podcast 5 years ago. Again, can I draw a direct line from my podcast episode to sales? No, you can't either.
Oh.
But I've had people I know, because they tell me, I listened to your podcast 3 years ago. I need a coach. They waited 3 years. They didn't like a single one of my posts. I post every bloody day. You know that. Right? You see me destroying your algorithm in your home feed, right? You see it all the time. They'd never liked one, never commented on one. All of a sudden, an email lands in there. Hey, Michael, can we talk? I need a coach. And then when I meet them, I listened to episode 13, whatever it was, back in 2020. I loved it, and I remembered it. I can't draw a direct correlation. I have to believe that putting myself out there in an authentic way, it will come back. I think
it's very powerful.
You just need to change your timeline, right?
And that's it. You have to play the long game, right?
Yeah.
And when you do, the connections come. The connections between the podcast, the workspace, the distribution business that I've seen emerge 7 years into this journey, I could never have imagined.
Yeah.
Honestly. And now I'm kind of at a point where things are starting to, I can feel them fitting together.
Yeah.
But it takes a shit long time, man.
It takes a hell of a long time.
It takes a hell of a long time and a hell of a lot of discipline.
Yeah.
To just keep going.
Yes.
Because like you said, they've never liked it. They've never engaged with you. You don't even know who they are.
No,
and they're viewing your content.
And that's the horrible part. I don't know who in the room puts themselves out there on a regular basis on social media. It can be quite disheartening to spend a lot of time crafting a post or a video and thinking this is an absolute banger. This is going to go viral, and it gets crickets, 2 likes. Like, well, that was a good use of my time.
Yeah.
Those who like don't buy. Those who buy don't like.
Interesting.
That's what I found. Now, that doesn't make the people who like bad people. I love those people because I need. So for me, I'll tell you how I operate for my mindset, right? So if I like any of your posts, either it means at the best of times, it means that was a banger. I love it. And that's why I've liked it. But if it's my friend and I'm supporting the journey they're on, I will always like it because I see you. All the like means to me is I see you, I love you, keep doing what you're doing. I just want to encourage that person. Most people don't think like that. But that's the mindset I have, and I see people who do it to me as well. And you always remember those people. But generally, as a rule, the ones who will eventually buy from you have been watching, they're stalking, they're waiting. And eventually, when the pain is big enough, they will come to you. You just have to believe it.
That's how we connected. Initially on LinkedIn. It was on LinkedIn. It was just liking posts and following and commenting, and then
again, it's good. It's good I don't remember the first contact.
Seeing you in the space one day.
Yeah.
You know, and then having a chat. If someone's got to this point online, and obviously the guys in the room are here listening, what's the most important thing that you were thinking about on the way in that we haven't spoken about?
Ooh, that we haven't spoken about. That's a great question. I'm going to have to sit with it in Japanese silence. Sorry, rephrase the question for me.
What's the most important thing that we haven't spoken about that maybe you were thinking about on the way in today?
I think probably, it sounds really arbitrary, but I hope it goes much deeper. Reasons. Because I was crafting a speech. I'm doing a motivational speech in Singapore next week. And what I was writing about and thinking about on the way here today was most people aren't lazy. They just don't have good enough reasons to overcome. You say you want the thing, and then you give up. You start the podcast and you stop after 3 episodes. You launch the business and it's crickets after 2 months. You say you're going to get that promotion and then it doesn't happen. Your reasons need to be stronger than your excuses. And I don't think a lot of people are actually lazy. They just don't have a good enough reason to attack the day. I have very good reasons for attacking the day. You know, we've spoken about this. It's my kids, right? For me, it's very simple. My trigger is so easy. I'm like putty in anyone's hands. If they're like, do it for your kids, I'm like, all right, I'll do it. You know, I'm so easy that way. I want to provide for them. I want to protect them. So that's why I work stupid hard at what I do. Because every single day, you know, as an entrepreneur, no one's telling you, get on the computer, send those emails, do that. No one's telling you. Right? So your reasons need to be really, really strong. And I think a lot of people just haven't taken the time to think about why they want something. Because I know back in the day when I was an investment banker, I wanted the money, I wanted the watch, I wanted the car, and it was all fugazi. I didn't mean anything. I just wanted these status symbols. Then that's why I needed my quarter life crisis to go away and realize, actually, I want to be able to look in the mirror and say, when I wanted something, I went after it and I didn't back down. And I've done that with football, I've done that with entrepreneurship, I've done it with the public speaking. And if you can do that too, you're already winning.
Amazing. Last question, and then we'll throw it over to audience Q&A. So everyone sat here and watched this. What advice do you have for me?
What advice do I have? You know what I'm saying. You know what I'm going to say? I'm going to say, put that away. I'm not going to say, I'm not dogmatic about it. Again, some top podcasters have the iPad there. Stephen Bartlett has it. Chris Williamson has it. I think it's useful when you have some media or quotes that you want to pull up, right? Because they quite often riff off people's tweets. I would say experiment with it sometimes. Experiment with it sometimes. Do the work and then put it away. This would be my advice for all of you. Again, it's go in allowing serendipity to unfold. It's, you know, she asked me a difficult question, put me on the spot. It's great. Like, I love it, right? Just believe that you've done the work and you can fly, right? When you get out there. So put that away. My advice as well, ironically, because I just said the word, your filler word is
Yep. Yeah.
Just so
and
you're
I'm
aware.
aware of it.
Yeah, just so you're aware. So again, it's one of the easiest lifts, again, for anyone on here is you use too many filler words. Everyone does. But you aren't aware what they are a lot of the time. I'm talking in general terms, right? So you're actually aware that it's For me, it's right. At the end of my sentences, I look for validation and I say right. So that's my bad habit. I've erased it a lot because I've realized I've watched myself on camera. Most of you haven't watched yourself on camera or listened to yourself. If you send voice notes, if you're a voice note sender on WeChat or WhatsApp, just listen to your own ones back because usually you send and then it's gone. Actually, listen to it back. Count the number of filler words. Most of you are horrible. There's 7, 8, 9 in 60 seconds. And again, why does it matter? Clarity of speech reflects clarity of thought. it shows me you've done the work. You come off a lot more competent, charismatic, persuasive if you can eliminate all that kind of verbal litter, if you will.
I was going to say the word interesting, but it's the word I use too often. So I stopped myself.
Something overused. Well, I say awesome all the time. So yeah, it loses its cachet when you say that. Yeah.
That was amazing. I'm going to throw it open to the audience. I'm sure we're going to have some Q&A. There is a mic going around.
In a negotiation setting, are there any tips you can give us on how to make yourself seem more powerful or more confident?
Negotiation. How to be more powerful, how to be more confident.
Yes, so you can win the negotiation.
We're all negotiating all of the time, right? It's Chris Voss's thing, right? Most of you probably heard of Chris Voss. Everything is a negotiation. I disagree. There are some things that are just arbitrary. But I think I said it to you earlier, conviction fixes tone. So I don't know if any of you have been in a position in life where you've had to try and sell something that you didn't fully believe in. I know I have. It sucks. Right? You don't really believe in the product or service you've got, maybe because you're working for someone else, or it's yours and you know it's not quite ready yet. I think people are very attuned to the body language and the nonverbal, the tonality that you're expressing yourself with. So it's less about what you say and it's how you say it. So my big one on negotiation is he who cares less wins. So if I can show you, I will look this way. When I go into a negotiation, I'm not trying to convince you. I'm actually trying to help. So this is the first point. You shouldn't be going in to convince, manipulate, persuade. Your job should be to help. So I'm going in to diagnose what is the problem. Think of yourself as a sales doctor, okay? If I ask you all of these questions and I get you to speak more than I speak, you will unravel yourself, right? You will show me where I need to press. And then it should actually be very, very simple. You will be the one that says, Michael, what do we do next? Where do I sign, right? But so in a negotiation, I think if you do that, you have to show that my life is going to be fine with or without you. The with or without you energy, I think, is a big. I know I can help you. If you want to coach, if you want to train, I can help you. If you don't want to engage me, that's also okay. I wish you luck. Honestly, I mean it. There's enough for everybody. But the person who's super, super desperate and leaning in and you can smell the commission breath, right? Then you've lost. You've lost. We instinctively pull away, right? I think we want to buy from people who we feel like they're coming from a position of confidence and comfort. They can help and it's all right. And if I can't help you, I'll actually point you to someone else.
Okay, so listen more.
Totally. Okay. Again, just as a rule, right? Who should be in a sales conversation, in a negotiation, who should be speaking more? You or the target?
The target.
But most people think, I need to pitch, right? It's my sales pitch. Let me unravel the deck. Let me unravel the PowerPoint. No, for God's sake, ask good questions, show interest, show curiosity. Like what's working? What's not working? Why? Who have you tried? What have you tried? What does it cost you if it stays the same 1 year from now? How good would it be if you managed to change it? What would it unlock? They're going to talk themselves into it. You should do very little talking. You should be asking more questions. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
And as a future lawyer, I know you'll be good at asking questions.
Thank you.
So I wanted to go back in time to when you're 16. You said you're a really like timid kid and you suddenly started wanting to throw yourself out. Mm-hmm. So like I'm going on exchange and I think I'll have a lot of time to like do solo travel, but I've never just make friends along the way. Like I'm always like hinging on to like other friends. So yeah, I just wanted to know like what's the change that you have like to like kind of throw yourself out and talk to a stranger or just make friends, you know, while being like with yourself?
Great question. I've never done solo travel, well, apart from business travel. So maybe there's people in here more qualified to answer. I'd be happy for the mic to go around. But I think as a rule, people are obsessed with being interesting. My thing is always be interested. Don't worry about being interesting, be interested. So showing genuine curiosity in other people and asking those good questions. If you walk away from a conversation and you're like, oh, I really like that person, usually you found that you've spoken the most. You were actually the one who was verbal diarrheaing all over them because they showed an interest in you and they wanted to learn about your life. So I think the key to being kind of charming and winning friends and influencing people is showing you're curious in what makes them tick, what gets them fired up, what are they excited about, where are they going in life. That will naturally induce some reciprocity and good feeling. But kudos, by the way, for going solo traveling. I think it's great. I think most people aren't brave enough. You'll learn a lot about yourself in the next couple of months for sure. But yeah, most people, I think, again, at a networking event, when you walk in alone, you're delighted if someone comes up and says hello, aren't you? Right? We're all waiting for the other person to go first, which is like this quiet irony we all live with. And actually, as a rule, I just go first, go positive, right? Upbeat, smiling, and go first. People are so happy that you've broken the ice first. Yeah.
Thank you.
Being interested gets them talking.
Totally. Yeah.
It's actually easier on you. You have to say less.
Yeah, it's less heavy lifting as well. If you're an introvert, by the way, just get them to talk.
I hope this one's an easy one. So, as an author who is looking to go from like page to stage.
You know, I like sound bites. It's good. Page to stage.
I figured. So, what is your biggest tip to move from translating of like telling your story for it to become like a framework that is useful in a corporate setting or for the general audience? Like anyone can pick that framework and actually use it to tell their story. So how can I have that kind of transformation for an audience?
So have you done much speaking work or have you spent more time authoring and writing?
Yes, I've done a mix of both.
Okay. What was the nature of the book? What was the topic?
So today the topic is color-coded, finding ourselves and our stories. And it's a creative nonfiction.
Okay.
And through telling my story, I have taken the reader on a journey of finding their stories. Mm-hmm. So that is the topic for the book. But then I find it that it is relatable to, I mean, the response to the book has been overwhelming. But then I want to transcend and move from book talks and book events to actually like stage events where it can be used as a framework for the audience to tell their story and find their story. So I want to make it more generic.
Do you know what the framework is already? Or you're still figuring it out?
Still figuring it out.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's where you need to live first. Mm-hmm. I think is to go inwards first and find out what is the frame. Because the God's honest truth is you've obviously written a creative nonfiction book that's an expression of your self and your passion and love, and that's a good thing. Mm-hmm. People want low-hanging fruit and a framework that they can latch onto. Right?
Yeah.
Like the prep method. Mm. It's good and it works. Mm-hmm. And it's also easy to remember. Mm. So you need to find out what the framework is and then just road test it and see what lands. Do a few podcasts, do smaller stages where you can be more experimental and look at the audience, look for the reaction, see what lands, see what doesn't. And then I think you will, like, I feel, again, I don't know you, we've just met, but have you done a sufficient number of podcasts, live events, etc., to actually feel where
the pulse of it?
Yeah.
I get it. Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
But the beautiful thing is about, again, the clue is in the word. She's an author. That gives you authority. That's why people write books. Mm-hmm. So you can get on podcasts, you can go on stage. So what I need to do is the reverse. I've done a lot of stage work. I need to now write a book. Right? So you've already done the hard work that I haven't.
Yeah. Thank you.
Very welcome.
I'm in the sustainability space, or social sustainability, but I just think overall in sustainability, there's a lot of data there. We don't actually have to prove anything. I think the biggest missing piece is communication, communicating it. I just wondered your thoughts on why is it that people just don't, they just kind of roll their eyes as soon as you say the word sustainability in like the general public.
Yeah, this is maybe like, it's maybe a branding issue, right? Sustainability sounds boring, right? And again,
not for me. It's so
I know.
exciting.
Yeah, I know. But I mean the word, not as a theme. Like I'm passionate about this stuff. I work with a lot of people in climate change and sustainability funds, for example. I think there's an overwhelm, I think, in the media of sustainability, climate change, ESG. People are a little bit tired of it. We need to find the reason at the individual level why they should care. Because it doesn't, for whatever reason, it doesn't seem to be landing that we're just burning our planet up and frying the oceans. And why are people still doing what they're doing? Why? Right? We're battling human nature, right? The short-termism of it is very, very difficult. Like, what do you find does land? Do you find anything that does land? Well, because if I have an individual room, I can know enough about that person to figure out what makes them care. But the grander stage of communications is difficult. No one's nailed it, which is why it's a good question.
Well, it is because there's a long time you don't see the immediate, impact. Yeah. But what I do is on the social side. So that is immediately, and people can see the difference they can make. For example, even a podcast, listeners listen and then they'll come back and say, oh, actually I changed my behavior after listening to your talk. And that is immediate impact. Yes. That can resonate. But I just think just generally as for communication, I feel like there's just not enough people who can articulate the issue that can resonate, and make the change that's needed.
I think that's the issue. Again, I'm looking for clues in the room as well. But I think with sustainability, as you said, the penalties are deferred, right? So you act selfishly now, the penalties are deferred, you don't see them, right? So I think with the articulation and communication piece, it's how can you bring the proximate and ultimate, right? So we're sacrificing the ultimate for the proximate, which is the wrong way around, right? So I think it's how can you drag the ultimate and show them the reality of what their world will look like and how their lives will be impacted, right? And try and drag in the future forward to make them feel pain, because people don't change unless they feel pain, right? What will it cost you? Because right now it doesn't cost me anything to go buy another plastic bottle of water and, and make bad choices. So I think it's, again, change comes from pain, right? So we need to really dig at that wound a little bit more, even more perhaps than you feel is justified, just in order to get a reaction. Where do most people selfishly feel the biggest hurt and biggest impact? Wallet, right?
Yeah.
So I think if you can appeal to wallet, unfortunately, it doesn't sound great, but people with money and people with means, if you can show them that it's actually, they'll be better off financially by doing the right thing ethically, then I think we have a chance. But it's a tough one.
Can I just jump in on that quickly? And then before we go to Lisa, I find one thing super interesting is that when we opened this workspace and Michael asked me to sell this workspace, if Michael had asked me that same question 3 or 4 years ago, even 2 years ago, I would have talked about our sustainability credentials, which are still here today. We do everything the most sustainable way we possibly can. Sadly, that never landed in terms of selling this to customers. So we still do it all. We do more than I think anyone would consider reasonable in this space. That the amount of bins we have over there, the way we weigh the waste, the way we
throw stuff away,
the way we dispose it, the fact that the plants, I don't want to go on, but we do a lot, and Charlotte drives that, and Hilvin and the team do. But it's we don't
it sings to you, right? And
we don't talk about it anymore at front and center because it just doesn't sell. So it wasn't top of mind for me when Michael asked me the question, even though we do it every day.
It's interesting, yeah.
Anyway, let's go to Lisa.
Okay, this can probably fill another hour of a podcast between the two of you.
I'll try to spare everyone.
Yes, but maybe just to have a brief idea of your take, since it's such a buzzword, personal branding, and maybe to add to it personal public branding. How relevant do you think it is in entrepreneur stories?
Huge. Personal branding is huge. Even if you don't want to do it, if you find it cringe, if you find it awkward, people still buy people. So I think it's very obvious. If you look at the social media followings and the number of interaction, I don't care about likes, but talk about impact, influence, number of interactions, the social graph of, say, Elon Musk versus SpaceX, right? If Elon posts, huge numbers. If SpaceX posts, very small. Cristiano Ronaldo posts versus his team posts, right? I think he's got 20x the number of followers of Real Madrid, maybe 200x, yeah. So I think the personal brand is really, really important, because we're going to crave human connection more than ever. Now AI is here. It's not coming, it's here, right? So I think it's incredibly important. It's an asset that follows you everywhere. I got one of my jobs from my personal brand in 2010, before Instagram was created in 2010, all right? LinkedIn was basically nothing. I wrote a little wine blog. I don't know if you know this story. I wrote a little wine blog during my quarter life crisis in Canada. And I got into the world of wines. I did my blindfolded tasting, did all my exams, sommelier exams. And I started this little wine blog on a tiny corner of the internet. And someone in Hong Kong read it. She loved it, CEO and founder of a wine distribution company. And she hired me on the spot in Hong Kong. Tiny little wine blog. Just because I put myself out there. Again, it was probably horrible. I don't know what I wrote. I can't remember. It was probably horribly immature writing, but it still resonated enough. Just like, you're sufficiently different from the person next to you, I will hire you. Yeah. So I think the beautiful thing about a personal brand is it's good that it polarizes and divides, because your tribe will find you. If you're always authentic and you're always yourself, what have you got to apologize for? Nothing. The only reason I put content down there is so people can see how my mind works. If they like it, they will come. If not, it's fine.
Sure.
Yo.
Still trying to imagine you as a shy 16-year-old is trying to get my head around that earlier. Yeah, I had a question about your coaching.
Sure.
With all the CEOs and the executives you've coached, is there like a pattern that you see with like high performing execs?
Good patterns.
No, I'm thinking more the opposite. Like that they're lacking. Like, do you see like a certain pattern? So I know you said about communication and things like that, but usually there's reasons for that. Like, I wonder if you see like a certain trait, not like a trait, but like a certain element in them that's like holding them back or something.
Is it more of a performance thing or a public speaking thing?
Yeah, like is there typically like one thing that they're grappling with?
Yeah.
That's not allowing them to hit their potential or something like that, or
so I think with the really senior guys and girls, the most common thing I see is they're excessively rational and logical and left-brained, and they are either afraid or incapable of wandering into the emotional waters and being right-brained and being creative and showing some part of this. Okay. And they know they need to. That's why they've called me, right? Because the thing I most often repeat to them is, it's great, it's logical, it makes sense. I don't feel anything. Why should people care? Why do you care? Show me that you care. Yeah. Because when you're a leader, you're very visible. When you're visible, you're accountable. If you're accountable, you can be vulnerable. And if you're vulnerable, you can be hurt. So they're afraid of putting themselves out there too much. And let's face it, it's true, like the most capable high performers, a lot of people who are wildly successful and rich, they're just like walking anxiety disorders, right? Harness for productivity. They're very, very good at one thing, but at the expense of other things. And one of the things is just being able to express themselves with some emotional depth, and they want to be liked. They actually, the dirty little secret, guess what? Everyone wants to be liked, not just respected. And they have the respect, they have the position, they have the authority. But a lot of the time, I don't know if they're really going to follow me into battle. Yeah. And that's what people are looking for now, because most of the CEOs and executives I'm working with, they're all saying the same thing: forecast it down, right? It's not looking great, depending on your industry. So how can I then communicate this to the people so they're still fired up to come to work and they're not going to leave me and jump ship and productivity is not going to go through the floor? Yeah. It's how can I rally the troops? How can I motivate? I think that's what they're looking for the most. Yeah.
Can I ask, obviously when you were a teenager, you had the chance to sort of recreate your own speaking personality and sort of persona. How did you end up deciding on this high energy, really continuous style, as opposed to, I don't know if you've analyzed Barack Obama's style, which is much calmer?
I have. There's a video on YouTube.
Yeah.
Literally, yeah.
So when do you use different styles, or why did you choose this particular style?
Because I think this style is authentically me. Freddie knows me very well. He's known me for many years. Pia as well. I'm the same outside as I am here. Same. Slightly more high energy because there's a microphone and a camera, but basically the same. I think when I was shy and introverted and reserved, this person was always in there, just waiting to be revealed, right? It's a chipping away. It's not a building. It's a chipping away of what was actually in there. I was actually an extrovert who lacked confidence. I wasn't an introvert because I actually draw my energy from other people. But because I couldn't articulate myself, because I've found things awkward, I could never actually express myself. So it was just more an acceptance that this is who I am and I'm going to put myself out there. And if people don't like it, it's fine. But yeah, it has to be, I think a conscious decision is good. And there's actually, if we want to kind of weave a little bit of psychology into it, there is this thing I worked with, again, with a very quote unquote famous, she's fairly famous client that I work with. She's a big proponent of the alter ego effect. I don't know if anyone's familiar with that. So it's basically you come up with a persona. When you go on stage, she would pretend to be someone else. She always did a high ponytail. She put on red lipstick and she wore a certain pair of boots, and it made her feel powerful. Eventually, the alter ego and the real person meet in the middle, and you no longer need to pretend. But you can borrow confidence from this persona. And Kobe Bryant, the Black Mamba, I don't know if you're a basketball guy, right? He was the Black Mamba. Beyonce, what was hers? Sasha Fierce, right? She pretended to be Sasha Fierce every time she was on stage. And she even said after 10 years, I didn't need Sasha anymore. I'd become her, right? So if you need that, that's when people say fake it till you make it is bad advice. And it is. You shouldn't fake being someone else. But is there a version of myself that I can bring that's more high energy, that's more confident? And eventually the two meet, which is the beautiful thing. You don't need him or her anymore, which is quite cool. But even I have certain rituals to this day. If I feel like I need a bit more confidence, maybe putting on the blazer, maybe the watch, the lucky bracelets, right? You know, I'm superstitious like anyone else. Things that make you feel like you can give your best self. And when I go home, I take it all off and I play with my kids in my pajamas and, you know, but spiritually still the same.
Michael, you said earlier that you didn't want this to become the Michael Campion show or words to that effect. And I just wanted to jump in on that. The podcast is Entrepreneur Stories, and I just said again. But
so did I, I'm sure.
The podcast is called Entrepreneur Stories, and it's very deliberately called Entrepreneur Stories because the stories of the people that we have on this show educate, inspire, motivate, and inform our audience. And I think that you're very humble in many ways in terms of your background and what you've achieved, but I think it's incredible, and I think there's a lot of nuggets of gold in what you've shared today. Really appreciate you coming on.
Thank you.
I know that everyone in the room will feel the same way. I'm sure we've all taken a lot from this discussion and a lot of different things. Everyone will have taken what's appropriate to them, but I'm pretty sure we've all taken something. So thank you so much for being on the show.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for being here.
And thank you guys for coming.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
Michael, where can people find you, follow you?
Yep. Very simple. Again, for the personal brand, keep it consistent. So it's Michael X Campion on LinkedIn, YouTube, Instagram, at Michael X Campion, michaelxcampion.com. I couldn't do michaelcampion.com because there is a Hollywood actor called Michael Campion, and I hate the guy. He took my URL. He's
the X is kind of cool,
handsome
though.
young American chap. So it's Michael X Campion. My middle name's Xavier, so it's still me.
Brilliant. So everyone can follow Michael. We'd love it if you'd follow us as well on YouTube or wherever your audio channels are. Favorite audio channels. Thank you, everyone, for coming. And we've got drinks and nibbles.